If they don't know their purpose, they're going to waste it and spend it on the wrong things. And where do you get your purpose from? You get your purpose from the word of the Lord, period. So what I'm really trying to do is have people understand more about, to help them find their purpose, then set their life goals, and then find out that if you quit wasting your money, some of that money that you've been wasting on things that are absolutely of no value could be spent to help you get closer to reaching your goals. And once you start to establish a thinking like that, then your life's going to be far, far more successful, because you're going to be experiencing reaching of your goals. And my program, why they let me in prisons all across the country, is I came up with a very unique program that the state of Virginia asked me to develop through a whole lot of stuff that had happened in a prison. A counselor said, "Hey, Steve, if you could teach these women here," is in Brunswick Women's Work Center in Virginia, if you could teach them how to convert their canteen spending to savings, that would be an invaluable skill that they could take out of prison with them and help them succeed in life. And so I adopted my financial teachings to specifically helping people get focused and think about every penny that they spend, so that they can realize that they're wasting a lot of money. They're wasting a lot of stuff, and that they're not reaching goals and saving for anything that they want, because they just are wasting themselves. And once they get disciplined like that and they start focusing on their goals become very, very reachable and attainable. And that's the guts of what I do. So basically, with that said, I love where you're coming from. Let me ask you this. You went in prison at about 27 years old. You got out about 40, and you've said that, you got a happy life now, and you got a beautiful. I love that you called your wife adorable. There's nothing better than having a partner that you share a unity and marriage, like I know you do. But there must have been, when you first got out of prison, there must have been some times that were seemingly very, very difficult, where things weren't happening like you wanted them to. So I would like you to speak to this. I want you to give some sage counsel that I know you're going to do to people as they get out of prison, like the young man that I talked to today that was so frustrated because he wanted that grant money that he was told was waiting for him. What happens when you get out and with all the beautiful thinking, it's still not, opportunities still aren't being opened up for you? Tell me how you do that. I mean, I know you're going to get closer to the Lord and then persevere, but talk about it a little bit. What was it like for you when you got out of prison, how you finally got established?
Well, Steve, I told you I was fortunate enough to go to a halfway house. And one of the things I learned before I got out, I had a lot of younger brothers around me, and they were on fire for the Lord, and they put a lot of emphasis on hearing the voice of God. So when I made it to the halfway house, and I still wasn't being treated the way I thought I was being treated, I still had that mentality that somebody owed me something. But when these things begin to fall through and I begin to see men as they were, I wasn't just so disappointed that I wanted to revert to my old ways of thinking and making money. I just simply trusted the Lord, man. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but that's what it is. I mean, I got a job at a hamburger joint, and I talked to myself every day. I told myself every day while I was flipping those burgers, getting burnt with hot grease, there's something better for you. There's something better for you. There's something better for you. And I learned that from the woman in the Bible with that issue of blood. She was discouraged and dissuaded and relieved of her finances for 38 years from different physicians and got no better. Her condition only grew worse. But when she heard about Christ, one of the things that he put emphasis on in that story is that she said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment. I can't put enough emphasis on this. Most people that read the Bible, they read it, out of convenience. And I hate to sound like a cynic here, but the thing about it is, man, you have to really lean and rely on what you're now reading, and you have to trust it. You have to trust it, or it's not going to work for you when you get out here. And man, a person with a toothache, Steve, that toothache means more to him than all the people is getting murdered and killed in the military and on the streets of America today. So they really don't have time to be concerned about my life or another inmate's life. They feel as if we've already wasted our opportunity. So why should they help them? And once you begin to understand that, you have to lean on God. You are his creation. You are his. He'll make a way for you. But to make a long story short, I met my wife at the halfway house. She got more degrees that'll fit on a business card. But she was working for the state at the time, doing outreach for a mobile unit, doing testing around the state for HIV and AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases. Well, she came to that halfway house and they took a part-time job. And when I got there, she was working there and we began to communicate. And she saw me every day when I had spare time reading. And that, I guess that stood out to her because all the other men came in there was more handsome, more articulate, more gifted. But then we got to talk and everything. And she saw something different in me. And I began to see some things different in her, unlike all the women that I had encountered in my short-lived life. Well, it was an instant connection. And we didn't think nothing of it at the time, but she started coming by that burger place that was a couple blocks where I was flipping those burgers and talking to myself. And we got to talking. And one thing, she started asking me about my goals. And when she started talking to me about goals, that was something that near and dear to my heart. And I started to paying attention to what God was doing, and I began to slowly realize that he was already providing. I call God providence because he will, if God invites you out to dinner, his goal is to pick up the check. He's not going to invite you out to dinner and tell you we going stag. That's just a simple way of saying that if you embrace your purpose, then God is going to make the provisions for that purpose. All you need to do is walk in it. And the thing about it, what I try to put emphasis on as well, is men have to stop looking to men. They are fallible just like we are. You can't hold it against a man because he don't understand your plight or want to take the time to understand. God is your father. Let him be God. So I eventually end up moving in with this woman, and we lived together for a few years, and she constantly told me, you can't continue to just live here. Either you're going to marry me or you're going to be on your way. So we got married, and man, it was a beautiful thing, and we're still together. Never been separated unless it's work related. And man, I'm fortunate, man. That's all I can tell you. I'm grateful to God, and I don't know why he did it for me, but I'm happy about it.
Well, I know why he did it for you. You're more than fortunate. You're blessed because you gave your life to him and you trust him and you live the way he wants us to live. And the riches and the abundance that wait all of us came to you. And when they come when you not so much least expect it, but when you're not asking for it anymore. And that's the beauty of it, because when you keep going after it, you get to walking outside of his will. And so, you've got all that going for you. Do you have any children?
Yeah, we have two children. One of them is a school teacher in the Sumter County School District here in Sumter, South Carolina, where we live. And she has two beautiful children. And I have a son that's an entrepreneur, and he have one daughter. So, man, life is great, And they both admire me. They listen to what I have to say. We don't always agree, but we agree to disagree. And I like that.
Well, you know what you're doing right now? If people did not know that you had spent all those years in a bad kind of a life and ended up in prison, and it took a whole lot of stuff before you got yourself straightened out, if people didn't know your past that you're speaking so freely about, they would be so honored and blessed to get to know you, because you're a man on fire for the Lord, and you're not just preaching it and like you're living a life. You have a stable job. You got education. You know what it is to treat other people right. You're living a life of example. And so that's one thing that I want you to speak to for the next couple minutes, as long as you want to. You see, I'd like this to be the advice corner. We're talking specifically to people who have come out of prison that feel like they're not going to get a fair chance. People that are going to come out of prison and they just feel like that F that's on their forehead, everybody sees it. That they're projecting that they're a felon, and and people won't even know it unless they behave a certain way and have a chip on their shoulder. So give some specific advice. Talk directly to people that are coming out of prison. Now, you met a lot in your circumstances that were friends of yours that got out of prison, but speak to everyone in the country right now that is working as hard as they can to learn what they need to learn, to have the transformation behind bars that is so necessary for them to change the way they think. They've gone through all that. They're getting ready to be released. They're going to have a newfound freedom to be able to go out there in America and go wherever they go, as long as they don't break the law. They can have any opportunity that they set their mind to. You speak to them about how to go about doing that.
Steve, that's a good question. The first thing I would try to counsel any man or woman to do is try to figure out what their purpose is, and then try to figure out how to write a goal. How to write a goal. How to write a goal. That's so important. If people just understood that one cornerstone advice right there, a goal, and how to give your mind an assignment, you won't be frustrated. You will not be frustrated. You cannot go wrong. And I bring up assignment because a lot of times when we read the scriptures, I hate to sound like a preacher or whatever, but it's just so important. The lessons that you can glean from just reading the Bible. One of the things that Jesus taught us is that he always operated with an assignment. When his disciples tried to get him to walk through Samaria and these different places, he said, no, my assignment is to the house of Israel. I'm choosing you to go all these other places. So you have to understand your assignment and stay committed to that assignment, whether it's raising a family, building a business, and you just got to trust God. But the most important thing is the goal. Understanding, I told you earlier that a written goal is really the only influence you have over your life. A man is like a leaf in the wind without a written goal. Everything that pops up on the horizon or in his peripheral, he's going to chase those things because the opportunity looks shining and glittering at that moment. But when you focused on your assignment, you cannot be swayed or chase just running down rabbit holes. Hey, I'm a man. I didn't have an opportunity to graduate from high school. I took to the street at an early age, but I'm self-taught. I taught myself. And when I got out of jail, I went back to school and earned this associate's degree in computer and engineering technology. And I work with engineers now, and they don't even know my story. They don't know that I was in prison. They don't care whether I was in prison. Only thing they care about is I'm able to do the job that they're paying me to do. And man, I like that. And it's all because I look to God and not to men to do what only God can do for me. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? I've been waiting to have, I didn't know what his name was going to be, but I knew that a man would come to me that would be able to say the things that you're saying, because I am trying to help people that don't know how to let go of their past and move forward and, just be who God wanted them to be, and not to live in shame and guilt, but just to know that they can be different, and that even if some people don't want to accept them, then they can still be different. And I've already said it earlier in the show that if somebody doesn't want to accept them or give them an opportunity, don't be angry. Just pray for that person that someday they'll be enlightened in the ways of the Lord and to know what it really is to love others and to not live in fear. Love is on one end and fear is on the other. And I just got the most beautiful. I wish I could play it on the air right now, but I don't have proper licenses. But one of my theme songs that I use in my Right Thinking Foundation is "Get Together" by the Youngbloods. Come on, people, smile at your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Well, I was talking to a really good friend of mine that Don Green introduced me to, Randy Faulkner, and he's an amazing man he was in Hawaii, but now he's in California, and he sent me the other day a version of the Youngbloods Get Together by Louis Armstrong. And I gotta tell you, whoa, I mean, when Louis Armstrong talked about the key